Okay, so I want you guys to picture this happening to you or maybe your family member. You devote your whole life to being healthy. You don't smoke, you exercise regularly, you're not obese or have any of those kind of problems. You avoid people that smoke and situations where you would be around smoke so that you have a healthy lung system and cardiovascular system. Well, one day you have a heart attack or you have emphysema. Somehow you've developed emphysema. You've lived your whole life so that you won't have these problems, yet you still have them. Why? Well, you decided to live in LA or Denver or maybe Hong Kong for some reason. Why? Oh, well, that they have smog. Those cities have smog, and those smog causes those health problems. And that's why I'm going to address that today.
Smog.
Smog. A basic definition of smog, I'm going to get into a little more detail about it, but a basic definition of smog is tiny particles and gases that mix with high temperatures, so like your summer temperatures, to form ozone. And as you can see from this picture, all of this right here is smog. That's a picture of LA, and that's kind of a distant shot, and that's all smog in LA. What it actually is, there's two kinds of smog, classic smog and photochemical smog. Classic smog isn't as common as photochemical smog because it's formed when coal smoke and sulfur dioxide come together and they react. Coal smoke is fly ash, so like factories that have the big smokestacks and they have all that dark cloud of smoke, that's what that is. And then sulfur dioxide is your fossil fuels. And that's what classic smog is. But what's taking place in like LA and Denver is photochemical smog. Photochemical smog has these three components right here. Nitrous oxide, which is oxygen and nitrogen. When you put those two together, that's what that's going to form. Volatile organic compounds are basically compounds that are going to evaporate really easily, which is causing all the dust and stuff in the air. And then ozone is really reactive, and it has 3 oxygen atoms. That's just kind of a simplified form of that. And that's produced by the nitrous oxide and the VOCs mixing together. So when all 3 of those things mix together, it gets photochemical smog, and that's what's polluting our air. The problem, this has really, really bad health effects on people, like asthma, coughing, wheezing, emphysema, like I said. Basically, your respiratory and cardiovascular systems are really going to suffer, and it's especially harmful to like really young kids and elderly people. And not only our health, but it's really detrimental to your crops and soil because all that dust and all the chemicals in the air is going to affect that and get in your soil and your crops and all your stuff you're eating. And it's also really bad for buildings too because it's such strong chemicals in the air. Solutions. There's a couple solutions that you can use that are really simple and that can cut down on this. Decrease use of dangerous products. Your everyday products like lawnmowers, that's like, besides cars, that's the #1 leader in producing these chemicals. Barbecues, house paint, all that kind of stuff. If we can cut down on how much we use that, that's going to cut down on the amount of smog. We can also eliminate the ash released into the air. The big clouds of ash that are released from like factories and manufactories, if we can filter that out, that's going to help a lot too because we don't really pay attention to that kind of stuff. But if we can make a filter to get rid of that, that'll help a lot too. And natural gas is a big one. Natural gas is a really clean gas. It burns clean, it leaves little residue, and it's also found to be pretty common in the United States. So if we can switch over some of our resources to using natural gas for energy, that's going to also make a big difference. And carpooling. Cars are the #1 factor of producing smog. Their exhaust, everything they release, makes this smog. And I'm going to show you guys some statistics in a little bit, but if we can carpool, that is going to save so much smog from being eliminated. And in Denver, Colorado, there's where it's like the #2 city in the United States for releasing smog and the high levels of smog. They've actually made laws that say people have to carpool at least once a week because the amounts of smog in that area have been so dangerous. They've actually made it a law. So I think that we should make that more laws like that, not only in Denver, but LA and even other cities, just so it doesn't become a problem. And idling. Idling, if you idle for 10 seconds, just 10 seconds alone puts so much pollution into the air. So maybe not here in Shepherd, we don't have a lot of traffic jams, but in bigger cities where people are idling with their cars on a lot, that's a problem. So if we can stop people from idling, that'll stop the unnecessary pollutants from being in there. And a few statistics just to kind of show you guys how much this really affects us. The energy it takes for one person to drive a car for 4 years is equal to a transit rider, so like ICTC or a public bus, is 40 years. So 10 times, you can cut down 10 times of the pollutants in the air. And using public transit for a year saves roughly about 2,000 pounds of pollutants. So imagine all the people in your family that drive cars and that could ride a bus. Imagine how much that could save from being polluting. And carpooling has cars emissions, so that's another thing. How many people in your guys' family drive cars or have their own cars? And that's one person that it could have the emissions. So if you can get a bunch of people in your family to do it, that's going to help a lot. And this is a statistic for Canada. Each vehicle on Canada's roads adds about 10,000 pounds of pollutant per year. So if there's like 5 people in your family with a car, that's 50,000 pounds of pollutants that your family alone is putting into the air. So that's it. Hopefully you guys are a little more aware of smog and you can see the harmful effects of it, and we can take some simple measures to eliminate it.
Nice work.